welcome, Barbara, after our bumpy road there that we needed to do a couple times.
High five, Virginia.
Yes.
We made it.
We did. So welcome to Keys to Digital Marketing Success.
Thank you.
Barbara Rozgonyi of Cory West Media is coming to talk to us as our keynote speaker, and I'm so excited that you're coming. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk about what it means to tell a story about your company. It's not your history. So Barbara, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little about what you do, and then we'll talk about the event.
Okay, sounds great. Well, Virginia, do you know you probably can think of some people who are really exciting people, fantastic, but they're kind of maybe invisible and almost irrelevant to other people, except maybe you. And you probably have clients like that. And those are the people that I love because they have a good story there somewhere. And what we like to do is take them from being irrelevant and being invisible into being prominent and powerful with our whole marketing transformation system. That's what we do. And over the years, I started out as a sales rep, and I was the worst sales rep in the entire company. And I tried to quit, but my boss is like, "Do you have another job?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." So I had to stay with the company. I wound up leading the company, selling more than anybody else. So I was a national sales trainer, whoop-de-doo, going all over the country, flying around. And then I said, "I can't do this." So I started my company, went through career counseling, and they said, "You should be a florist or a writer," which I could be a garden writer, but I'm not. And so I just decided I would reinvent public relations, marketing, communications with a company named after my mother and grandmother. And so over the years, I've had so much fun and so many great opportunities to help people with their communications. And the one through line through everything is storytelling. And that's why I'm so excited to come to your conference and talk about why you need a brand story.
Yeah, and I don't think everyone understands. It's very easy for me to say nonprofits don't understand. They want to talk about their history and their numbers. It's not as easy to say a company doesn't understand because it's not quite the same. It's different in terms of they're not telling their history completely, but it's more than that. It's about who you are. It's about the passion you bring. It's about what you want to do with your business. And people, I shouldn't say people, companies have a hard time making that transition to say that.
Oh, absolutely they do. And I went to a marketing, networking, education event in Chicago on the lakefront. It was really beautiful. And so we were in this gorgeous setting. And there is a panel and they're talking about B2B storytelling. So I raised my hand and I said, "Who do you think is doing a really good job?" Well, they really couldn't tell me any companies they thought were doing a really good job. But interestingly enough, I had a client who asked me to do some POV research on what goes into the emotions with B2B selling. And it's even more emotional than B2C, which surprised me. But when you think about it, if that person makes the wrong decision and they buy something that isn't good for the company, then all of a sudden everything falls apart for them and the company. It might not be big, but it could be. You never know what kind of ripple effect it'll have. So for me, storytelling is for, and we'll talk about this in the presentation too, it's for B2B, B2C, nonprofits, and you and me. It's really everyone.
That was very good, yes.
Well, I've been practicing. Honestly, you know, when I say I'm going to do a presentation, it's like a performance. And I was brought up to be a pianist and a performer. I played clarinet and piano, and I was always performing for people. So I rehearse a lot.
I played clarinet in junior high.
You did?
I did. I can still remember the taste of the reed trying to get it wet.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And I got as far as the Marching Illini, which is the best band in the land. And I did march at Soldier Field. So when people say, "What's your biggest audience?" I truthfully can say 55,000 people.
Excellent.
Yeah.
When I took my kids in, and they did trumpet and something else. I've even forgotten. It was short-lived, but they had flavored reeds then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, did I miss out?
Yeah, I didn't have those, but I did have a clarinet teacher who made my reeds, and he made them himself. He imported the reeds from
Really?
Spain. Yeah, and I just feel so honored. I Googled his name because I always thought he was wonderful, and it turned out he was one of the top clarinetists in the world. So one of the things I bring to everything I do is I've studied with the very best of the best, starting at a very small age. When I was 3 years old, my ballet teacher had defected from Russia, the Russian ballet. I was her first student. So I was, I've always worked with the best of the best.
So we have high standards that we need to reach.
Well, yeah, and I feel like when I work with people, I want to bring out whatever that excellent center is within them, and especially with the stories. And one of the things I find with almost everybody I talk to is they don't see themselves the way other people do. And other people may have a really high opinion of them, or they really value their service. They might even not know that that kind of story is being told about them. So for example, I had a client who said, I want you to interview my clients and find out what they say about our company. And I said, sure thing, no problem. So he sends over the list, 42 companies. And I said, okay, which ones do you want me to talk to? And he said, all of them. I said, do you want me to call every single one? He said, yeah. So we had a call interview.
I told one of my clients once that I would do anything for a price.
Yeah.
And I've regretted that because she always challenges me to do stuff.
Well, that's it, and he didn't really care. The budget was no object,
Right.
But what we found was after interviewing 42 people, his clients actually had their own vocabulary they'd made up for his company. They didn't even know.
Really?
That. Yeah. So we were able to really develop what the client story was, and we got so much rich content, and really it kind of reinvigorated and reinvented the entire company. So
that's fascinating. That's very fascinating. When I work with clients on their website or items like that, I say, you have already been asked the questions that we need to answer. We just need to sit down. What does every client ask you? What does because they do, if they've been in business and they have a bunch of happy clients, which they always do, then it's just getting to that information.
It is. So in the presentation, we're going to talk about a few different things. And one of them is, first of all, how are you going to build your house? What kind of story structure are you going to use? We're going to talk about everything from Joseph Campbell to a Japanese art of storytelling. And you probably remember I went to Japan in October, so we might have a couple pictures of Japan there. And then after we decide, well, what framework are we going to use? Then we're going to figure out, how do we really cast this story? Who are the characters? What's the setting? And we're really going to look at what is the transformation. And one of the things I like is we could start with the end in mind, and that is, what is the moral of your story?
And who is the hero of your story?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not you.
No, it's not. No. But that's a hard step for some of them to take.
Well, it is. And it's as simple as when you meet somebody and you're networking, and the first thing they say is I. And, whenever you put yourself first, if you're in marketing and you know about copywriting, and I love copywriting, but it's all about you. It's all you focused. And, the old thing, what's in it for me, the radio station thing everybody talks about. Really, people have to resonate. One of the things I like to talk about is redefining PR as personality and reputation. So how do they see themselves? How is their personality in that story? And how are you going to help them with their reputation? So it's fascinating, exciting. And the last thing we're going to talk about is, how do you send that story out? And you have so many great speakers, and I listened to every video this afternoon. So I learned a lot about what
I have some really cool people coming, including you.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's nice to be close to home, and we're both in Glen Ellen, which is really really exciting, because I think there's so many cool people in our little town. So if you are in town for the conference and you want to come to Glen Ellen, my tip is just be ready to wait at the restaurants, because it's usually like 90 minutes, because they're all so great. But anyway, to go back to the presentation. So what we're going to do is we're really going to walk through those 3 areas. And then I want everyone just to feel so good about who they are and how they help people, and how they really are problem solvers and people who affect transformations in others. So it's very exciting for me to be able to deliver this message. And I just want to thank you. I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. And there's the VIP networking event on Sunday night.
I do. And you also know that's the Oscars. So
You know, the problem we have with all the award show is there are so many channels and so much content. I watch one of those and I don't know half the stuff, right?
well, you don't, the thing is, there's a lot. What I love about award shows is all the live streaming that goes on. And really, it's more fun to see what Twitter is saying versus watching what's on TV. And there again, you have a lot of stories. And if you look at the best movies of the year, there are so many great ones. And so, from a storytelling perspective, it's really exciting to see how these different themes play out. And I used to have one presentation. I don't do this all the time anymore, but I wanted everything to be in 3D. So I'd always pull the movies that were coming out in 3D and show my audience, this is what you could see in 3D. It's coming up, and it's exciting just to look at how movies and stories really affect us emotionally. And it really brings us together as a culture. So that's really what I love about the movie.
Well, it does bring us together, a culture, but I find that being washed in a big pool, because we all used to watch, there were 5 movies that were up for Best Oscar.
Yeah.
And people, no, I'm serious. Even if you watch the Emmys, the fact is that there are so many different channels and so many different people, and it's kind of a bigger pool, and we're losing a little bit of that collective piece, I think.
Oh, I totally agree. And that's really, to your point, that's where we are as a culture. We are just getting lost in this wave of so much stuff. And that's why it's so important to have a great story that will pop you out and give you the type of visibility that you need to get through. And sometimes you don't need to have 1,000 people knowing your story. If you have one person who's a great referral person that can really kind of radiate your story out to their network, that's all you need. So that's why it's so critical that you really are able to get your story out to the right people so that they know that you're the person to talk to when they need exactly what it is that you do.
So that goes back to knowing where you should be, right? It's having your story, being prepared, and then choosing which channels that you want to be on where you're going to reach the audience you're looking for.
Exactly, right. And I talk about doing storytelling in 4D, which is digital, direct, dynamic, and data. We'll go through a little bit of that in the presentation. We can't really deep dive into everything, but just to let you know that, it's not just, a little book that you read. It's something that really is living and breathing in 4 different dimensions. And that's why it's super powerful. And that's why it's really the core. I heard some of your panelists say, they were saying content is king. And to me, storytelling is the queen of everything. So that's where I think you need to start.
Right, but it's understanding your story and what your content should be to back up that story to make it all cohesive when you put out information.
Correct. And you have to have the right story, because sometimes people just, it's off. It could even be off a little bit, but the more you can make it your own, and to your point, the more you can have the data and get it out in the right place, the more effective it's going to be, because you can tell somebody else's story. Maybe it sounds good and maybe that's okay, but that's not yours. And that can actually take business away.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a great day. We have great speakers. We have we have the session speakers. We have the, master classes, which are new this year. So it's a very exciting day, and it's 2 weeks away.
I know, it's right around the corner.
It's going to be here in a blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. And I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has about storytelling, marketing, PR, whatever you want to talk about, Glen Ellen. So just contact me via social media if you have questions ahead of time. And of course, I'll be there all day long.
And you will be available all day in the VIP lounge.
Is that okay? Yeah. I'll be the one with the sunglasses. I'm bringing my crown, so I'll have that there too.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
So maybe we haven't decided on the VIP networking event. Maybe it'll be an Oscar related theme.
Could be.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, you never know. Put out a little red carpet. Everybody can walk down it. So
just another thing I need to put on my list, Barbara.
Well, I love working with events, and I've even won I think 2 awards for helping market events. But yeah, you need to draw the line. It's a lot of fun. You can layer, but having a theme is always fun. And I think just, your theme already is digital marketing, which is
Yes.
the keys. So I think that's people who come to the conference and really kind of dial into what they want to know throughout the day are going to be able to walk away with some tools and tips and really just accelerate their success for the year.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's great. Thank you for coming on. We had a few technical glitches at the beginning, and it's always like that, right? It's just getting it just right. So
it is, and I just kind of look at it as just like an opportunity to really get even more excited. So it's just, that's how technology is. And I look at it for what it is. It challenges you, and it just makes you really happy when it works. And I'm really happy that we did have this time together, and I'm looking forward.
Yes, and I will see you very soon.
You got it.
All right. Thanks, Barbara. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.